The Galactic Academy of Strategic Sciences was the pinnacle of interstellar education, where the brightest minds from across the galaxy came to study the art of war, diplomacy, and tactics. Students from hundreds of species, each with their own evolutionary advantages and strategic philosophies, attended. Among them was a small delegation from Earth, humans, a relatively new addition to the galactic community. Humans were viewed with curiosity and skepticism by their peers. They were physically unimpressive compared to the armored Corthuans, the telepathic Veltzi, or the aquatic brilliance of the Vloran pods. Their admission to the academy was seen by many as a courtesy, not a testament to any unique ability. The first semester passed quietly for the humans. They were diligent students, attentive and eager, but hardly remarkable. They performed adequately in the simulated exercises and scored average on written tests. To most of their alien classmates, the humans were predictable and unexceptional. That perception began to shift during the second semester, when the Academy hosted its annual tactical simulation tournament. The tournament was the highlight of the academic year. Teams were pitted against each other in elaborate virtual environments, where they had to outwit their opponents through strategy and cunning. The scenarios varied from planetary invasions to covert operations and diplomatic intrigues. Victory required not just strength or intelligence, but the ability to adapt, improvise, and innovate. The Corthuans dominated the tournament every year. Their species had perfected war over millennia, their battle-tested doctrines nearly unbeatable. Other contenders, like the Veltzi and the Shorath Alliance, had their own strengths but rarely posed a serious challenge to the Corthuan supremacy. The humans, however, were seen as underdogs, unlikely to advance past the first round. Their first match was against the Veltzi, a race renowned for their telepathic coordination. The human strategy baffled observers. Instead of attempting to outmaneuver the Veltzi's coordinated formations, they played unpredictably. Their virtual forces deployed erratically, with feigned retreats and chaotic movements that seemed almost nonsensical. The Veltzi, unable to predict the humans' actions, fell into disarray. "They're not playing the game right," one Veltzi observer complained. But the humans weren't playing the way anyone expected, and they won. The next match was against the Shorath Alliance, known for their technological superiority and precision strikes. The humans, instead of confronting the Shorath forces head-on, set traps and laid ambushes, exploiting environmental hazards and seemingly insignificant details of the simulation. By the time the Shorath realized what was happening, their forces were surrounded and dismantled. As the tournament progressed, the humans' unconventional tactics became the talk of the Academy. They used decoys and misinformation, creating phantom armies that drew enemy forces into wild goose chases. They feigned incompetence, lulling opponents into overconfidence before launching devastating counterattacks. They even turned their own defeats into victories by sacrificing smaller units to gain critical advantages elsewhere. The Corthuans took notice. For the first time in years, they saw a real challenge approaching. The final match would pit them against the humans in a planetary siege scenario, with the humans assigned to defend a colony from a superior invading force. As the match began, the Corthuans executed their attack flawlessly. Their forces overwhelmed the colony's outer defenses within hours, pushing the humans into retreat. The commentators declared the match all but over. But then the human counter-strategy unfolded. Instead of holding their defensive lines, they abandoned them, drawing the Corthuans into the colony's dense urban terrain. The Corthuans, accustomed to open-field dominance, struggled to adapt. Ambushes awaited them at every corner. Human snipers turned the narrow streets into death traps, while hidden explosive devices crippled their heavy armor. The humans also employed psychological warfare. They used hacked communication systems to broadcast fake orders, sowing confusion among the Corthuans. They manipulated the simulation's weather conditions, creating blinding storms that disrupted visibility. By the time the Corthuans regrouped, their forces were fragmented and demoralized. The match ended with the humans pulling off an unprecedented victory. The Academy students, instructors, and even the Corthuans themselves were stunned. The humans had defeated the galaxy's greatest tacticians not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through creativity, adaptability, and sheer audacity. When the humans were called to the podium to receive their trophy, their team captain, Lieutenant Emma Carter, addressed the crowd. "Tactics aren't about following rules or relying on what's worked before," she said. "They're about understanding your opponent, exploiting their expectations, and making the unpredictable inevitable. That's what humanity has always done. And that's what we'll keep doing." From that day forward, the perception of humans at the Academy changed. They were no longer seen as ordinary or predictable. They were wild cards, capable of turning the simplest scenarios into masterclasses of ingenuity. The alien students, once dismissive, now studied the humans' methods with fascination, trying to decode the unpredictable brilliance of their tactics. And as the Academy continued its mission of preparing the galaxy's future leaders, one lesson became clear. Underestimating humanity was a mistake no one would make twice. The victory at the Galactic Academy of Strategic Sciences was only the beginning of what would become a paradigm shift in how humans were perceived across the galaxy. The alien students, once dismissive of human tactics, began dissecting every match the humans had won. Forums buzzed with debates over their unorthodox strategies, and simulation logs were analyzed frame by frame. But the real intrigue began when whispers emerged about an advanced, high-stakes tactical exercise known as the Black Orbit Trial. A secretive event held every 5 years, the trial was a clandestine proving ground where the best strategists from the Academy tested their skills against not just simulations, but real-world scenarios involving hostile alien warlords, rogue AI fleets, and complex interstellar politics. The Corthuans had dominated the Black Orbit Trial for decades, their sheer discipline and military tradition unmatched. But this year, for the first time, humans were invited to participate. The invitation wasn't without controversy. Many species argued that humans weren't ready. Others believed the humans were being set up to fail, their newfound reputation crushed before it could spread too far. Lieutenant Emma Carter, now the unofficial leader of the human delegation, accepted the challenge. "If this trial is as dangerous as they say," she told her team, "then we'll show them exactly why humans thrive under pressure." The trial began on an abandoned mining station in the Helix Nebula, a labyrinthine complex filled with malfunctioning systems, hostile alien creatures, and a simulated enemy fleet that would arrive in 72 hours. The goal was straightforward: survive, fortify, and repel the invaders. But as the humans discovered upon arrival, they weren't alone. Teams from other species, including the Veltzi and Corthuans, had also been dropped into the scenario. At first, the other teams ignored the humans. The Corthuans focused on fortifying key defensive positions, while the Veltzi established psychic links to map the station and anticipate the simulated fleet's movements. The humans, meanwhile, appeared to wander aimlessly, scavenging supplies and tampering with the station's dormant systems. But this apparent aimlessness was part of their strategy. Hours into the trial, the Veltzi's psychic scouts began experiencing interference. Their mental maps became distorted, their predictions increasingly unreliable. Unknown to them, the humans had hacked into the station's power grid, rerouting energy to create electromagnetic disruptions that rendered telepathic coordination useless. It was a subtle move, invisible to most but devastating to the Veltzi. The Corthuans, meanwhile, discovered that their fortified positions were suddenly unusable. The humans had remotely triggered a series of explosions that vented sections of the station into the vacuum of space. The once pristine strongholds were now floating debris fields. "What are they doing?" one Corthuan commander growled as his team scrambled to adjust. "They're dismantling the battlefield itself." By the time the simulated enemy fleet arrived, the humans had reshaped the station into a weapon. They had rerouted mining lasers to create defensive turrets, repurposed cargo loaders into makeshift mechs, and even turned abandoned fuel reserves into deadly traps. When the enemy fleet breached the station's perimeter, it was met with a storm of firepower that hadn't existed when the trial began. The Corthuans and Veltzi were forced to abandon their own plans and join the humans' improvised network of defenses. The enemy fleet, designed to be an overwhelming force, was systematically dismantled by the humans' unpredictable and adaptive tactics. When the trial ended, the humans were declared the victors, not just for defeating the fleet but for transforming the scenario itself into an advantage. The Corthuans, for all their discipline, had been forced to follow the humans' lead. The Veltzi, for all their psychic coordination, had been outmaneuvered before the battle even began. The Academy's council, composed of representatives from the galaxy's most advanced species, reviewed the trial's results with astonishment. One of the elder Corthuans, General Voltrak, addressed the humans directly. "Your tactics defy logic," he said. "You turn weaknesses into strengths, chaos into opportunity. Tell me, is this innate to your species, or are you simply anomalies?" Emma Carter, still catching her breath from the trial, smiled. "It's neither," she said. "It's survival. Back on Earth, we weren't the strongest or the fastest. We survived because we adapted. And when the rules didn't work for us, we rewrote them. That's what humans do." Word of the humans' performance at the Black Orbit trial spread quickly, far beyond the Academy. Militaries across the galaxy began rethinking their strategies, analyzing human tactics, and even seeking alliances with Earth. For the first time, humanity wasn't just seen as newcomers, they were seen as innovators, disruptors of a system that had grown complacent. But not everyone was impressed. Deep in the outer reaches of the galaxy, a shadowy coalition of warlords took notice. If humanity's unpredictability was a threat, it was one that needed to be eliminated before it could grow further. As the Academy celebrated humanity's rise, Emma Carter received an encrypted message on her console. It contained coordinates and a single line of text. "Let's see how unpredictable you really are." The humans weren't just players in the game anymore, they were now targets. And for a species that thrived on adaptation, the next challenge would be their greatest yet. The encrypted message shook the humans at the Academy. Its origins were unclear, but the intent was not. Someone, somewhere, saw humanity's rise as a threat. Emma Carter gathered her team in their modest quarters on the Academy's sprawling campus. They sat in tense silence around the holographic table, the message's ominous words still glowing in the air. "Let's see how unpredictable you really are." "This isn't just a test," Emma said finally, her voice low. "Whoever sent this wants to see us fail. And they're playing for keeps." The team quickly traced the coordinates provided in the message. They pointed to a system on the galaxy's edge, near a lawless zone known for its marauding fleets and pirate strongholds. The location was remote, far from the Academy and any official galactic jurisdiction. It was the perfect place for a trap, and Emma thought the perfect place to prove what humans were really made of. A week later, the humans arrived at the designated coordinates in a small shuttle, its sensors calibrated for stealth. The system was a dead zone, a single dim star, surrounded by scattered asteroids and the remnants of ancient orbital structures. As they approached the coordinates, their sensors pinged. Something massive was hiding in the shadow of a shattered moon. The object revealed itself as they drew closer. A battle station, bristling with weaponry and clearly operational. Its design was unfamiliar, but its intent was clear. It was a testing ground. A voice crackled over their comms, deep and distorted. "Welcome, humans. You've impressed the galaxy with your clever tricks. Let's see how far that cleverness takes you when the stakes are real." Before Emma could respond, the station's weapons activated. Missiles streaked toward their shuttle, and automated drones swarmed out from hidden bays. "Evasive maneuvers," Emma barked, gripping her seat as the shuttle dove into the asteroid field. The battle was instantaneous and chaotic. The drones were fast and numerous, their weapons relentless. But the humans thrived in chaos. They guided their shuttle through the dense asteroid field, using the debris as cover. Emma and her team fired precision shots, causing asteroids to collide and create chain reactions that destroyed clusters of drones. As the drones dwindled, the humans turned their attention to the battle station itself. Scans revealed that it wasn't just a fortress. It was a trap. The station's reactors were rigged to detonate if any part of its core was breached, ensuring that anyone who attacked it would perish along with it. "They want us to charge in and blow ourselves up," said Lieutenant Rhea, the team's engineer. "Classic no-win scenario." Emma smirked. "Then we don't play their game." "Rhea, can you patch into their systems?" "Already on it," Rhea replied, her fingers flying across her console. "They've got a lot of layers, but nothing I can't crack." As Rhea worked, the team kept the remaining drones at bay, using the shuttle's limited weapons and their resourcefulness. Emma's strategy became clear. They weren't attacking the station directly. They were baiting its defenses into firing at its own weak points. As Rhea hacked deeper, the station's weapons became increasingly erratic. "They're running out of power," Rhea announced. "Their reactors can't handle all this output." "Perfect," Emma said. "Redirect their systems. Make it look like they're under attack from within." Moments later, the station's defenses began targeting random areas of its hull. Explosions rippled across its surface, and the drones lost coordination, spiraling aimlessly. The comms crackled again, the distorted voice now tinged with anger. "You're clever, humans, but you're still just prey." "Funny," Emma shot back. "We think you're the prey." With the station in disarray, the humans located an access point in the asteroid field, a hidden hangar where they docked their shuttle. Inside, they found a labyrinth of corridors and automated turrets. Moving cautiously, they disabled traps and outmaneuvered defenses, advancing toward the station's control center. When they arrived, they found something unexpected. The station wasn't controlled by any single species or faction. Instead, it was a collaborative effort, designed by a shadowy coalition of alien warlords who feared humanity's rise. Holographic projections displayed their faces, some recognizable from the Academy's archives. They had watched humanity's tactics, studied their victories, and now sought to crush their momentum. Emma activated the station's communication system, broadcasting a message to the warlords. "You wanted to see what human unpredictability looks like. Watch closely." With a single command, she activated a virus Rhea had planted in the station systems. It spread like wildfire, causing reactors to overload and weapons to misfire. The station began to tear itself apart from the inside. The humans raced back to their shuttle as alarms blared and explosions rocked the corridors. As they escaped the hangar, the station imploded, its debris scattering across the asteroid field. The Coalition's trap had failed spectacularly. Back at the Academy, the humans' return was met with shock and awe. The story of their triumph spread quickly, turning them into legends among their peers. But Emma knew the warlords' threat wasn't over. "They're scared of us," she told her team, "and scared people are dangerous." This was just the opening move. In the weeks that followed, the humans intensified their training and prepared for the inevitable. They weren't just students anymore. They were pioneers of a new kind of warfare, one that no species had yet mastered. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, but as Emma Carter stood before her team, she knew one thing with certainty: they wouldn't make that mistake again. The aftermath of the battle station's destruction sent ripples across the galaxy. The coalition of alien warlords who had orchestrated the trap was furious and humiliated. Their intent had been clear: to discredit humans and suppress their rise as a tactical force. Instead, their plan backfired spectacularly, further cementing humanity's reputation as unpredictable and unrelenting. The Galactic Academy, too, was abuzz. The faculty, comprised of some of the galaxy's greatest strategic minds, debated how a fledgling species could repeatedly outwit older, more experienced civilizations. While some saw the humans' ingenuity as a fluke, others recognized it as something far more dangerous: a new kind of thinking that could upend the status quo. And as Emma Carter and her team returned to their studies, they noticed something had changed. Alien students no longer whispered derisively about humans in the Academy's halls. Instead, they watched them closely, trying to learn their methods. The humans' rise wasn't just acknowledged, it was feared. Months passed, and the Academy announced a new initiative: the Apex Scenario, a multifaceted simulation meant to test the galaxy's greatest minds. It was rumored to be the most difficult challenge ever devised, with layers of complexity that mimicked real-life conflicts. Participants would need to outthink and outmaneuver not just their opponents, but the scenario itself. The Academy made the stakes clear. The winning team would be granted access to a secretive advanced strategic think tank, where galactic leaders and war councils sought solutions to the galaxy's most pressing threats. To no one's surprise, the humans were invited to participate. But this time, the competition wasn't just about beating the humans. It was about understanding them. The Apex Scenario began with a cryptic briefing: a star system teetering on the brink of war, two rival factions vying for control of a resource-rich planet, and a shadowy third force exploiting the chaos. Each team was assigned a role, some as military powers, others as neutral mediators, and a few as rogue operatives. Emma's team was given the role of a small but resourceful planetary resistance group, caught in the crossfire between the larger factions. It was a deliberately weak position, designed to test their ability to thrive under pressure. The humans embraced it. The other teams relied on their species' strengths. The Corthuans imposed military dominance, the Veltzi leveraged telepathic diplomacy, and the Shorath used technological superiority to manipulate the conflict. The humans, however, played unpredictably from the start. They infiltrated enemy communications, feeding false intelligence to sow discord among the larger factions. They struck at key supply lines, not to destroy them but to reroute resources toward factions they deemed less threatening. They even forged secret alliances with opposing players, planting seeds of mistrust that unraveled their coalitions from within. The Apex Scenario quickly spiraled into chaos, its designers scrambling to keep up with the humans' maneuvers. The simulation's algorithms, designed to predict logical outcomes, struggled to adapt to human irrationality. They're playing against the simulation itself, one instructor murmured as the humans orchestrated a coup within a rival faction. How is this even possible? By the final phase of the scenario, the humans had turned the conflict's balance of power on its head. What began as a simulation of galactic politics and warfare had devolved into an intricate web of subterfuge, manipulation, and improvisation, all orchestrated by a species no one had taken seriously a few years ago. In the final moments, the humans revealed their masterstroke. They had spent the entire scenario building an underground network, using the chaos they created to unite disparate factions under a single banner. When the rival teams realized what was happening, it was too late. The humans had effectively won without firing a single shot in the final phase. The Academy's judges were stunned. Not only had the humans achieved victory, but they had done so by redefining what victory meant. The other teams were left with fragmented alliances, distrust, and questions about their own strategies. When the results were announced, the humans were granted access to the secret think tank. Emma Carter, however, declined the offer. "We're not here to dictate strategy for the galaxy," she told the Academy Council. "We're here to learn, to grow, and to adapt. What we've proven is that sometimes the best tactic isn't following the rules. It's rewriting them." Her words became a mantra at the Academy, inspiring not just humans but students from across the galaxy to rethink how they approached problems. And while Emma and her team returned to their studies, they knew their work had just begun. Elsewhere, in the shadowy corners of the galaxy, the coalition of alien warlords watched with growing unease. The humans had done more than just win a few matches or simulations. They had shifted the balance of power. And as their influence grew, so did the fear that humanity's tactics might one day challenge even the galaxy's most entrenched powers. In the end, the warlords reached a grim consensus. Humanity couldn't simply be contained. It had to be eliminated. As the humans at the Academy continued to thrive, a new threat loomed on the horizon. A threat far deadlier than any simulation. And for a species that thrived on unpredictability, the next battle would be the ultimate test of their ingenuity, resilience, and determination to survive.